Good day, and welcome back to the podcast Catch It, a New Perception. My name is Ketuk. Looking forward is always the best way for me to look. I can look behind me to make the changes that I need to not be able to fall into the past and be able to look forward to another day, to another moment. And what is looking forward? To what's right in front of me. To look at exactly what is right in front of me is looking forward. Not forward to the future, forward to right now. Welcome to where you are right at this moment. Welcome back to the podcast. Welcome to the podcast for the first time for those of you that are listening for the very first time. Welcome to what is right in front of you to be seen. Concentrate on what's in front of you to be seen. Think about how it's a privilege to be able to get to work, to be able to work, to be employable, and to be gainfully employed. I hear people have disdain for their work. The work that they do, the things showing up for work, don't want to be here, don't want to be there, don't want to do this, blah, blah, blah. What's it really mean? How do we change it? How do we appreciate who's in front of us, whether we're at work, whether we're out at some big event, whether we're individually sitting with someone? How can we appreciate that person that's sitting right in front of us right now? By looking forward. Maybe by looking them right in the eyes. Maybe sometimes we drift off and we look a little bit to the side and we kind of wonder. And in that wonder, we respond. And then we come back to looking forward again. I look forward to the future and I look forward to right now. And I want to live in right now. I want to find a way to be content with the job that I do and the work that I do and the people that are in front of me. I want to be able to be content in a conversation I have with a loved one. I want to be able to be content in going to have dinner with a few people or someone and just enjoy their presence. Enjoy the conversation. Enjoy the presence of now. We talk about yesterday, we talk about tomorrow, we talk about the past, we talk about the future, and we talk about the present. And the reason it is the present is because it's a gift from the Creator to live in the now, to look forward straight into what's in front of us and be present with that person, with this situation, and to be able to be grateful for this moment right now. And in saying that, it's also a way to be able to be present with whatever's here, whoever's here, however they are here, with us, with me. I don't necessarily need to be wondering about what I'm going to eat for dinner when I'm sitting here having a conversation just after lunch. I don't need to be thinking about my work week coming ahead when I need to be able to be paying attention right now. I remember a group of people, I talk sometimes about some friends that I have that belong to 12-step programs, and I remember decades ago meeting some young people who had young children, and they said, my children are the youngest, are the most important. My young children are the most important people in my life. And I remember having a wee one, and after hearing someone talk about that, and I talk about this 12-step program because they were starting in it, and they wanted to live different, and they were doing everything, and they were going to do it for their kids, and great. I hope that worked for them, and I hope they're still able to be present in that situation if that's still working for them. Here's the thing that I learned at the time, was I was watching one of my daughters crawl on the floor as I was having a conversation with a friend. And watching my daughter crawl on the floor and play at the time, she needed nothing from me. I didn't need to go out of my way to pay attention to her when I had a friend there and she wanted to play by herself. I needed to let her be who she is. Not that she isn't the most important. At that moment, she did not need the attention from me. So if I'm going to be present with someone, what does that mean? Does it mean that I ignore people? No. I didn't ignore my daughter just because I needed to be present with this person. My daughter didn't need all of my undivided attention at that moment, or she didn't appear to even want it. So how is it that we get through a given day staying in the moment? What are the benefits of staying in the moment as we get through the day? I had the privilege of going to a celebration of life recently and watching the wife of the man who had just left and made his long journey back home. Watching his wife there, it's apparent she's been under a lot of stress and that things are different for her right now. And I don't doubt that she may have been able to be in the moment right then. I don't know how much she's been able to lately. And here's the thing about it, is that when we're worried about what we're going to do in the future, or we're worried about something that happened in the past, whether it had to do with trauma or shame or guilt or resentment or remorse or whatever that may be, worried about what once happened one day, we are stealing from the present time. We are stealing from the person that we could be sharing with. And the way that we are stealing and taking something from them is we're not allowing them to be able to be present if we can't be present. How do we show up in a good way? How do we put our best foot forward? That's what this podcast is all about, is to be able to design a way so that when we look at today and we look at the people in front of us, we know this is the greatest experience there is right now. I don't know if any of you have ever been in traffic that's difficult to drive in, maybe emotionally, if nothing else, stop and go traffic. When you're in a hurry, you have to be somewhere, there's a deadline, and you're in stop traffic. I realized recently, when I was trying to get to an appointment on time, in a timely manner, and I needed to take care of some things along the way, how I was getting slowed down, how if I would have been in that lane, I could have been through here quicker. How if I could have, whatever that is, I realized each time I had one of those thoughts, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. This is where I'm supposed to be right now. I don't need to be in that lane. I don't need to be ahead of where I am. Everything's going to work perfectly when I slow down and realize I'm in the moment where I need to be, doing exactly as I need to, as slow as I need to move. And one of the reasons that I like to talk about it in this fashion is because when I move too fast is when I make mistakes. Doesn't matter whether it's at my job, whether I'm driving, whether I'm in a conversation, whatever that may be. When I rush through it, it doesn't do me any good. Can I take the time, calm down, relax? Take a deep breath. Some of my friends will say pause when agitated. To be able to live in that moment, we need to pause so that we can slow down enough, because our head is racing, our mind is racing, we're getting ahead of ourselves, and we need to be in this moment. So we need to pause, not say anything, not do anything for that moment. Take a breath or two. Decide not to respond and continue to be present. I know for some people being present is difficult. And I know that sometimes it's difficult for most of us. I'd like to say all, and I don't know that that's true. I need to be cautious of those types of words, as you've heard me talk about before. Everyone, no one, everything, nothing. Those are not terms that I need to use in this podcast or in my daily life. What I need to be able to do is find a way to be able to be present. Know that the Creator gifted me the breath of life today. Know that I can be grateful for this. I've been through some hard times, emotionally and otherwise. Some difficult times, making decisions I don't want to make because of my health or things going on, and I need to be able to make different decisions, and I don't want to. And I know it's best for me to slow down, to be present, to back up in my mind. In other words, to pause and then find a way to be present. Moving forward in this podcast, we're going to do things different starting next season, as I've probably talked about in other episodes. The idea of going to video, I would like to not. I like the idea that I can sometimes meditate and I have my eyes closed and I don't need to pay attention to the camera. I don't need to look at the camera or even know that it's there. I don't need it on me. And I can just kind of nod off and then continue to talk and allow the podcast episode to come through a meditation. And I've done it back-to-back weeks where I was able to do that. I appreciate that. It's a way to be present. It's a way to be very present. And I like it. And I want more of it. I've just been guided to be able to change this podcast as necessary, going from a half an hour to 15 minutes. I continue to use the name Ketuk. I will continue to do audio and begin to do video. These are suggestions coming from other people that listen to this podcast, that tune in, some of them on a regular basis, some of them maybe not. A way to be present. I will find it today. As I say this, I think about a recent podcast I talked about. A recent podcast that I did and something I talked about within that. And I talked about some childhood games, and one of them that I played was croquet. And I made a statement, I think it was a question, the way it was asked, was something along the lines of, if you want to play croquet, I'm up for it this summer, reach out to me. I had a listener reach out and say, I'm up for a game of croquet. That's really cool. It's really cool, not just because somebody's listening, because somebody wants to participate. Somebody maybe wants to play a game that they played when they were younger. Someone wants to spend some time with me. I could give you all kinds of different levels where that's pretty cool. Here's one thing that makes it really cool, is it was a response from this podcast I didn't think that I would get. I wasn't looking to get a response. I was throwing a rhetorical question out there, possibly. I don't know. And maybe I was waiting for that response so I can play a childhood game with someone. I have much to learn, and through this podcast I will continue to learn. What I am to teach is none of my business. I am here to share my experience with you. I will attempt to share my experience going forward. My face will be on the screen. I would like to keep my egotism out of it, so I would rather that not happen. And chances are in the next episode and going forward, we are going to do video with this and you will see my face. Without egotism and as much balance as I can offer, I will continue to do this podcast in a good way. I will be able to continue to find the truth within me, to be able to center and balance that and share that experience with you. It's one way we get to know our higher selves. So we find the truth. We find what's inside of us and we share it with others. That kindness, that dignity, that respect, that love. Looking forward to next time. Live in harmony with and use the bounty of the land to bring kindness to the world. Dok Shao Ket.